And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land. This is a Browns playoff special edition here. Ethan Greenberg here. Alongside of me is Madison Delaney. We were off for a couple weeks there. You had time to go to the Browns game against the Jets, get sick, sort of recover, and now we are ready for the playoffs. And that's what we got going on here. It is crazy week just leading up to this. I guess it's a good thing that the Browns get to play on, we get to play the first game of the playoffs playing on Saturday afternoon at Houston to take on the Texans. I guess the first thing is that, yes, in fact, as the Factory of Sadness says, playoffs, yes, that is what it is.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
Yes, I am going to talk about playoffs. And no, I am not kidding you, Coach Mora. The Browns are, in fact, in the playoffs, the number 5 seed. And I think that's an amazing accomplishment. If we just start off from there, Madison, Browns finished the regular season 11-6. And they do it after suffering just what otherwise might be seen as catastrophic injuries throughout the season. The Texans, they get in, they finish strong with the win over Indianapolis last week in a thriller, and Jacksonville with a complete collapse. So here we are, Browns versus the Texans in the wild card round. What are your initial thoughts about where we're at as we head into wild card weekend?
Yeah, I saw a stat earlier that said we're the only team to lose their starting quarterback, running back, left tackle, and right tackle and make the playoffs. I think we've talked about it a bit throughout the year, right? Like, this team has earned the right to respect them, that they will find a way, because that's just simply what they've done. I mean, obviously we've had so many injuries, not even just those 4, sadly. We've had a lot of high impact injuries. It's not just like we're losing a lot of guys that are like kind of fillers. They're, critical people to the operation. And the next man up mantra has really taken shape this year. So I think they certainly have earned the right to, for us to respect that they will actually, step up to a challenge when facing a challenge, which is, I think, not something we could say for most of the Browns teams in the past.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There would be other teams that completely would have crumbled after even one of these injuries. That the Nick Chubb injury in week 2 at Pittsburgh could have completely derailed the season. Yet this team moved forward. They came up with an alternate plan. I mean, to lose the guys that we have lost this year and still manage to finish with the record we finished with is already an accomplishment. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm one of these people. It's like, well, this has been a great season, so if we lose, that's okay. It's like, I think that this team has more to accomplish. Yes, everybody that's in the playoffs is there for a reason, and they're playing a tough team in the Texans. But the Browns have already played the Texans. They've defeated the Texans back on Christmas Eve. That was a good time. That was good. I was happy. That made my Christmas Eve a little bit better. Unlike a couple of years ago, last year when they lost to the Saints on Christmas Eve, that was brutal. When Kevin decided to throw it all over the yard in 25 below zero temperature, that was a bit ridiculous. And then how about the year on Christmas? Was that Christmas night when Baker Mayfield threw 4 interceptions at Green Bay?
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Yeah. That was awful. That was horrific. But yeah, to have lost the players that the Browns have lost this season, yet to somehow still be where they are right now is amazing. And we're doing it with, technically it's our 5th. We've had 5 quarterbacks start, but Flacco really the 4th, and obviously you throw in the spot start there from Driscoll in Cincinnati. And I don't even know how you can count that game. That was just awful.
Is what it is.
It is. And you tried to get out of there injury free, yet somehow we still have managed to have people go down and you're just shaking your head. And I looked at the injury report, and the good news there is that it appears that Pierre Strong is questionable. He left with that back injury, and although it wasn't shown on TV, I guess he actually got carted off, or away. But apparently he's at least questionable. I don't hear much about that over the past couple of days. The biggest news injury-wise really is the scare that we all got this afternoon, and we still don't really know. Denzel Ward, having some sort of a knee injury, and we really don't know what to make of that. Stefanski didn't say much, but Ian Rappaport said, basically, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, saying he's going to be okay. I don't know. What do you make of that? And what do you think about just kind of the bad timing of it?
Yeah, I think at this point, similar to like last week, right? Like some guys got hurt, quote unquote, but probably were okay ultimately. Like Cooper said, he could have gone. Obviously, he sat for other reasons, kind of. But I think some of it's just like you're in the playoffs now. You don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. He's not actually the only cornerback that got hurt in practice today. I think Green Bay's quarterback, Alexander, got hurt too in practice, rolled an ankle or something in a walkthrough. So like it happens, but I do think they're being extra cautious with injuries right now. Like Cooper, I think didn't practice, if I can actually remember that correct. But he's obviously said he's going to play. So I think it's just mostly that, like, let's not push it. These guys are in good shape. There's no need to really drill down. They're getting all the meeting time. It sounds like they're getting extra meeting time and extra time communicating back and forth with each other. So I don't have any concerns that he'll be prepared.
Yeah, I mean, now we've got this whole little question here that has arisen. A Factor of Sadness, our buddy here, says that Denzel Ward is soft. Yeah, so I think this is a bit of an overreaction. As you look at his career stats, Denzel Ward has played no less than 12 games in a season. So he's playing at least 75% of the games. Concussions, maybe back in the day, they wouldn't have been as restrictive. You wouldn't have missed as much time as they do in these days. They would have put some smelling salt under your nose. They would have said you got your bell rung, and you would have gone back in the game. You would have played the next week, and it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I think that there is a bit of a misconception about the durability of Denzel Ward. He's not a huge guy, but that's not a bad thing because it makes him quick. It makes him flexible, able to do certain things. Soft tissue injuries happen, and we have no idea what the extent of this knee injury is. And I air quote it because, hey, it might be nothing. And as you and I talked earlier, maybe it's a bit of a mind game here with Stefanski. And as I understand it, in the playoffs, you don't have the either you're playing or you're questionable. There's no probable level that you list anybody at in the injury report. So I think it's just a little bit of a
that's not true. Factory of Sadness.
Okay, what is that?
He's the best, isn't he? Right now, it's him or Emerson. They're 1-2, I believe.
Denzel Ward is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He's been named to the Pro Bowl. He's made 3 Pro Bowls in his 6 seasons. I think he's done a darn good job. And I'm not, you know what? The idea that the amount of money a team pays you absolutely dictates everything is kind of ridiculous. And we have a special guest joining us here. It's Browns fangirl Sherry joining us from the CLE representing. Let's bring her on. Sherry, what's up?
Hello, from an undisclosed bunker in Cleveland with multiple dogs barking at all times.
Hey, well, that just adds a little flair and to the
Right?
whole program. We like that. Sherry, welcome to the show. You know me, and my co-host is
You,
Madison.
Madison. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah, Sherry and I, we had a good time. We shared some dinner at Jack's Deli in Cleveland.
And that's the hill I will die on.
It
The
is-
best corned beef. I
it's
will
good.
die on that hill.
Yeah, well, you need to
Then-
tell Paul Brown, fan from UK, that he needed to stop being at Slyman's showing off with Mike Polk Jr.
I saw that. I'm like, ew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. All good. So back to our topic here. Sherry,
I know it's all good.
what we are discussing here is Factory of Sadness for Life. His contention is that Denzel Ward is soft. He's not even top 10 for the money, and that we shouldn't be making excuses for him. So I don't know. Is it really an excuse? I went so far as to even look at another high caliber cornerback from years past, one Mr. Deion Sanders. Now, I know Deion's numbers were phenomenal when it came to interceptions, right? But he missed games too.
Right.
So let's not act like Denzel Ward and these other people are the only players to ever miss time and make a lot of money.
Right. I mean, that's the part that we can't predict is the human element, right?
Exactly.
That's the part that I find the most exciting as somebody who was in cardiology and knowing that we can't. And, Denzel's family had their own cardiac issues. So
Right.
you don't know what's going to happen until it happens.
Exactly. All right. Factory of Sadness. He rebuts, I guess, be happy with mediocrity and average. Now, I'm not saying that I really don't think he's mediocre because he's very good on the field. So,
Statistically, he is not. And he's the best corner on the number one defense in the league. So
right. Exactly.
The numbers never lie.
They don't. They tell a quite a story,
Right.
a story. And hopefully whatever the issue is, it will be, minor in nature, and he will in fact be able to play. Sounded like from Ian Rappaport that was going to be the case, but we never know. The good thing is there is depth at that position, between Newsome, Emerson, Mitchell. I think you've got some good backup there to if Ward in fact is injured. So let's take a look here at the matchup. So the Browns on Christmas Eve go into Houston, and the dogs were barking.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
All right, we will give you a second here. So the dogs were in fact barking. They jump out on top 14-0. And the worst part of that game was the fact that Dustin Hopkins ends up getting injured because the special teams don't do their job. And they end up with, a kick return for a touchdown. Now, wait a second. We've got more on the Denzel Ward thing. Let's find out about
they don't throw to his side, man. They throw away from him for a reason.
90th in tackles. Well, if they don't go after him, how are you going to have more tackles? You can only control tackles if the pass comes your way.
Right.
If the defensive line and the linebackers are cleaning up stuff and it's not going to the defensive back, I'm happy. I don't want him making a ton of tackles.
He's also a textbook slide under a wide receiver block to blow up a bubble screen.
Yes.
That's his go-to.
Exactly. Okay, 50th in targets. As in, they didn't go after him because they don't want to because he's a good cornerback. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Are we really arguing about this? This is crap.
It's we're chasing our own tails with this argument.
No. We're going to argue. We're having it out. George is upset.
Who's going to flip the table over in rage?
I don't know. I have this problem. I'm going to try and keep my
next time we need to invite Larry David.
Yeah, 50th, not top 10, 50th. No, but okay. What I'd like to know, Factory of Sadness, is you're saying he's 50th in target, doesn't that mean there are 49 other guys who quarterbacks pick on more than Denzel Ward that they go after? Is that not what the stat says? Madison, am I reading that right?
I believe that is correct.
Okay.
How many teams are in the league?
Exactly.
Again, the numbers. You gotta. The numbers.
I don't know. I don't know about this. All right. So back to the game in Houston. The biggest thing, I think, first of all, we saw a franchise record from Amari Cooper, 265 receiving yards on the day, 11 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Do you think that Flacco and the Browns are going to try to expose that once again? Anybody?
Yes.
Go ahead, Sherry.
Absolutely. Why not? Come on.
I mean, do you think that the Texans, now let's see, how many people in the league? Exactly. Okay. I don't know. How many people are in the league? A lot, a little, but I mean, you're talking about starting defensive backs. So let's say there's 64 starting defensive backs. He's 50th in targets. That's in the upper portion, upper half there. The upper third, I suppose. I don't know.
Good with numbers.
Math is hard. Math is hard.
Math is very hard.
It is very difficult. So, all right. So Brown's game plan. We did not run the ball worth a crap in that game. We ran for 54 yards, 54 stinking yards. Joe Flacco is out there tossing for 368, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, granted, at least one of those interceptions was at the end of the half when we didn't have a field goal kicker. You got David Njoku begging to go out there to kick the ball. Coaches wisely didn't have him do that. And then
that's a good thing.
I would like to see it. Let's have some fun.
Yeah. And then the score was really only as close as it was. At the end of the game, they stuck in the backups. I think they were the backups to the backups. All of a sudden, Houston scores. We can't recover an onside kick. I thought Prefer was on the sideline again, working with these guys. And next thing you know, it got to be a 2-score game, and we had to send in the starters to close it out.
Yeah. No, I think I went live a couple times, or at least I tried to, with the stellar Wi-Fi that is available at the stadium, which is it's been talked about that everything's going to be upgraded in Cleveland when it comes to like Wi-Fi and all that soon. But yeah, I can't tell how many times it cut off or on during going live.
Right. I gotcha.
Yeah, so I have it somewhere in the zeitgeist, which are my socials.
Excellent choice. All right, so let's see. Wait a second. Here we go. Now, if you do that math, all right, now we were talking about the 14, not top 10. All right, moving on to the thing. Go for 2 every time. That was our discussion during the game against the Texans. And in fact, we did go for 2 every time, except for the first touchdown. I'm going to say that I don't think we should go for 2 every time.
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, that's 100% right.
Oh, boy.
Come on.
All right.
You saw that commercial. Isn't that like with Matt Damon? What was he pushing?
I don't know.
He pushes or something.
He pushes everything. Okay. I'm still stuck on all the drug names and the peppy tunes. So I don't know.
I can help you with that.
Yeah, I am not sure. So for the Browns, the real, I guess, in that you had the big win there, but the biggest thing that the Texans had going against them is that they were without C.J. Stroud.
Right.
They were without Will Anderson. And then on the first drive, their defensive tackle, Greenard, who has 12 and a half sacks, I believe, gets injured. So the Browns are going to have a little bit tougher of competition. What have you guys seen from, and I love your opinions on what you've seen out of C.J. Stroud in his rookie season. Sherry, would love to hear from you first. Go ahead.
Because me and I put all Michigan fandom aside,
Right.
and I want to see him do well. He's young. He has his whole life ahead of him. I want to see him stay healthy and kick ass in the majors.
Right. And I mean, he's obviously had a fantastic season, likely to be the offensive rookie of the year. Madison, I mean, what were your thoughts? Where does he stand in your mind overall, taking into consideration he's a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, he did something only like Tom Brady and there's one other quarterback I can't remember have done, which is lead the league in average yards passing, right? And there's another stat to it that I'm forgetting off the top of my head.
Right.
But he's obviously had a great year. He's protected the ball really well. I think he only has like 5 picks. Now, granted, some like they've had explosive plays. Of course, I think some of that is their coach is fairly conservative. Which that has been, I think, a topic of discussion leading up into the game is do they continue to kind of go that route or do they hand the keys over to CJ and say, you go do what you're capable of and kind of let him roam free a little more than, like, let's just hand the ball off. Let's not push it too much. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes and what they decide to go with. I thought it was interesting that I think it was Schwartz that said, it's whoever can be themselves the best effectively. And that would be stepping outside of themselves a bit if they really let CJ chuck the ball downfield like 40 times, like we're probably going to do with Flacco. So I'm interested to see what they decide to go with because I think he's good enough to do it. But then again, maybe the low interceptions are partly because he's not having to put the ball in harm's way as often. So maybe we'll get some picks if they do.
Right. And that's a great point, Madison.
Yeah,
I think I see that, I mean, his overall stats are 319 of 499 in 15 games. He had the 2 games out for the concussion. 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. And he showed up in a major way in Indianapolis. I mean, right off the bat, going bombs away to Nico Collins is pretty impressive. And Collins, he's stepped in. He's leading the league or leading the team in receiving yards, 1,297 after Tank Dell went down. Dell only played 11 games. And as I think in the past, this is correct. Factory of Sadness, comments that, the Browns in their history and in recent years have a tendency to lose to quarterbacks like this, rookies with no experience, etc. And Factory of Sadness, he's got a bad feeling about that part. However, I would like to think that during the Stefanski time, we haven't been as bad. I mean, I obviously remember Andy Dalton as a rookie coming into, Cleveland Browns Stadium and beating the Browns. I remember lots of these guys doing that. But I think from the perspective of this guy's not going to catch them off guard. Furthermore, what the folks have been saying that are really in the know and such have been talking about when Stroud has played or faced man coverage, he only ranks 27th in quarterback play against man coverage. So he does well against zone. But you know what? The Browns play man. The Browns have the coverage. They play man, and that could prove costly. I think that with our defensive line, they should be able to get some pressure. I don't think that, the Texans' offensive line is that fantastic. And it may not show up in the numbers that Garrett, the sack numbers for Garrett. But he was disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
He was disruptive. And would it be, I mean, I'm not, first of all, I guess I wanted to kind of, transition to this. Apparently, Pro Football Focus named Myles Garrett their Defensive Player of the Year.
Hell yeah.
All right, that's the Who Gives a Crap award. Okay.
I love the Who Gives a I'm in the running for the Who Gives a Crap award.
Yeah, I just feel like he got, but what the Pro Football Focus, though, the point is that they look at the numbers and they are digging deep into it and they see the disruption that Myles Garrett can cause. And we're relatively healthy on the defensive line. I know Shelby Harris went out with like a shin injury, but according to what I'm seeing, I have and hearing, there hasn't been any information that's come out to suggest he won't be able to play. You've still got Zadarius, Dalvin, etc. I think they're going to be all right. But I guess then flipping back, again, now we're flipping back to the offensive side of the ball. Are the Browns, do you think, we talked a little bit about this with the Flacco trying to hit Cooper all over the field and such. Are the Browns going to try and make a concerted effort to run the ball, taking into consideration that last week the Colts had 227 yards on the ground? Jonathan Taylor had 188 of them. Why is it that they were so successful against the Texans and the Browns weren't? Any thoughts, Madison?
Well, I mean, first of all, both running backs for the Colts are quite talented, right? Not that we don't have a good running back room, but I mean, we also have a very beat up offensive line, right? So that contributes to the fact that we're not going to have holes that are something you could drive a bus through, like what the Colts generated last week, I think, in some of those situations. So that's part of the problem. Do I think we're going to make a big effort to run the ball? Not really. I'm going to be honest. I think Flacco is going to carry us home, I hope. So that's probably the plan. And I think it should be probably more than likely. It's the best possible plan.
Right. At this point, is it kind of ride or die with him?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's the same thing that we've been doing, right? You use the play action, and even though we haven't run the ball particularly well, the aura of being a good running team, I think, is still existent. I think I've seen a lot of national guys who clearly don't watch all of our games say, like, this is a great running team. And I'm like, it used to be, it will be again, but not right now.
Right.
But it's just kind of how it is.
Can Chubb drink some Aaron Rodgers juice to come back Saturday?
What is Aaron Rodgers juice? Do we want to know?
We don't, I don't think.
I don't think it's legal.
I don't want to know.
Certainly not. But it won't get him drug tested because he's Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Well, I heard, didn't they have dolphin sex noises to help his Achilles heal better? I thought I heard that.
I'm sure he's tried all the things, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he has. No, and I think you're right, Madison. Point well stated. And actually the funniest or best, the great thing about your observation of the national guys is that they clearly haven't been watching the games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. How we are perceived in the national spotlight. However, did anyone see these jackalopes on Pat McAfee?
Oh, yeah.
CJ Stroud,
Yeah,
and
that's the clip that won't die.
Yeah, I mean, trying to basically, we'll make sure we're talking about basically disrespect to the Texans, etc. But yes, whatever it takes, just win, and I'm all about that. I don't care if we have to run a bunch of fake plays. Maybe we do a Statue of Liberty, a couple of reverses, the fumble Rooski. Whatever.
Make sure you tell them you're eligible if you're going in as a lineman.
And you have to eat 96 slices of American cheese because,
Yes, you do have to. I think that's a very important part of a balanced diet, 96 slices of American cheese.
We learned that from,
if
we've learned anything, man.
Yeah, if we've learned anything from Homer Simpson, that is definitely one that we should cherish there. So the Browns did though last week in their loss to Cincinnati, which was ugly. I don't know. How do you name Jeff Driscoll the backup? Is it that they have that little faith in PJ Walker? And if Flacco goes down, we're hosed. We are done.
It might look a little different with regular people out there.
Right.
It might, but his passes were all air. He throws this beautiful rainbow pass. I didn't see him
right.
I didn't see him throw one strike. They were all drop it into the basket kind of a thing. It was
just like that Pop-Tart cat. That one.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right, that Sherry, have you been taking the hippity dippity?
No, our people do not do that. You know that.
I don't know about that. I don't know. We just drink he brew.
Yes, and Manischewitz.
Exactly that too. No, but do you think that is more of a statement on their confidence in Driscoll or their lack of confidence in Walker to be the backup going forward?
I think confidence in Driscoll personally, because PJ has won games. He's just gonna have some turnover worthy plays. Like he's just okay. So I think Driscoll has probably shown enough in practice that they feel comfortable with him being the backup.
Exactly. I gotcha. Now, last week we did get Okoronkwo back,
Yay.
Yes.
and that was a real pleasant surprise, with a pectoral injury. You got to love the willingness of some of these fellas to go out there and play through the injury. So, in as much as we earlier talked about Denzel Ward and the idea that maybe he doesn't play through some of these injuries, other guys, I mean, just Okoronkwo um, is really coming out and playing, with a lot of heart and effort and being there. And I think that shows a lot for this team because as we discussed in the open or early on, talking about kind of that next man up mentality and picking each other up. Now let's see. From Denny, if Flacco goes down, it doesn't matter. Done, son. Yeah,
We found a way all year. I'm not counting them out.
Mm-mm.
you're much more positive than I am. I don't know that it depends on what point in the game it might happen. And if it were like something that would knock them out completely. I mean, we saw what happened last year to the 49ers in that dire situation.
That was a special situation.
Oh, they're special, all right.
Special.
That was unique.
That was unique. Now, one thing that the Browns have been really flirting with disaster all season when it comes to turnovers. Browns, most turnovers in the league. Texans, least turnovers in the league. Now, I don't know, as you pointed out, Madison, if that has to do with the conservative play calling and nature of the Texans offense versus some of the higher risk play that we've at least had with Flacco. I don't know that I'd necessarily even consider some of the throws or interceptions that you had. Like PJ was just brutal. That guy is a walking turnover. To be quite honest, he makes a lot of bad passes. DTR obviously coming out against Baltimore with in the early season when he wasn't really prepared. Throwing the number of picks he had. I'd almost be more concerned about the fumbleitis that we've had.
You need to coin that term. It's going to show up on a shirt.
Yeah, I wish I could coin that term. Unfortunately, I think I'm a little late to the party there.
Oh man,
Dang it.
Cleveland loves making shirts.
Cleveland does love it. They love making shirts and making songs. Madison, have you heard all the Flacco songs?
I had heard a Flacco song that somebody showed Joe Flacco. Was it on the McAfee show? Or maybe it wasn't on that. It was on something that I saw that they had played the song for him and he was cracking up.
Was he listening to
yeah. I saw that too. It was like super like endearing and like dadness.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, there's the Flacco Fever song is fantastic. That they've been playing on 850 ESPN. They've been playing that the heck out of that. I saw another one on Instagram. Geez, and now I'm losing it. I'm having a brain cramp right now as to what song it was to, but it was definitely a good one that I heard yesterday, today. You gotta love the fans of Cleveland. If nothing else, we're creative.
So creative. Like, I wish, the rest of the world knew how creative we were on any given
No.
Browns day, let alone.
I don't know. Cleveland is Cleveland.
Yeah.
Browns is the Browns.
Exactly. The Browns is the Browns. So I don't know. This should be a very interesting matchup here. Just as a, kind of look up the stats here. Overall, in playoff history, Browns are 17-12. 21 as a franchise. You know, in their new iteration since '99. Lost. We've only been in the playoffs. What is this? This is the third time we lost to the Steelers as a wild card, and that was tragic because Kelly Holcomb was thrown all over them, and then they went into the prevent yourself from winning defense. And then Dennis Northcutt dropped the stinking ball. And then we go back to Pittsburgh. You know, it only took another 17 years to get back there, and that
Stop
was
saying that's a curse word in
Yeah,
this bunker.
it was. I mean, that was an amazing game. I mean, to have the first snap of the game go over Ben Roethlisberger's
We
head.
got a positive factory of sadness comment. Woo!
Yes, we do have that. Flacco has not, and actually, I will go to his record in a moment. But yes, Flacco has not lost in a wild card game. Furthermore, Stefanski hasn't lost to an AFC South team.
That's a very
Isn't
good point. That is.
It's just interesting. It's a factoid. It's something. And the Texans overall are 4-6 in their postseason history. Obviously, a shorter history. The last playoff appearance for them was, a playoff in which they host the wild card game against the Bills. Watson outplays Allen. Okay, and here we go. This is it. First time for everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there absolutely is a first time for everything. That's the bad thing. You start bringing up all these good numbers, and you're like, when's the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah.
And the Texans, amazingly, that was the year that they were blowing the doors off the Chiefs and managed to lose that game. That I don't know where you guys were watching that. I think it was at I might have gone to Jacob's basketball game. And I come back and I'm like, what's the score? Or maybe actually, I think I turned the game off because I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. That's
I don't know.
me getting trouble in the Catholic Church for like watching the Browns game on my phone.
Oh boy. Oh my.
Yeah, it was Christmas basement mass.
Now, I've never been to Christmas basement mass. I don't know. You should have just pleaded. See, here's the thing, Sherry. You could have pleaded ignorance. You could have just said shalom, and then
I always play the Jew card as much as I can. You know, that's my favorite card to play.
It's a very good card. I like that. It's like a get out of jail free card. I didn't know. I was like, what are you talking about? No, but talking about Flacco's playoff career, he has never lost in a wild card round. He went on to the playoffs, made it to the playoffs 6 times with the Ravens, and his overall record 10-5 led them to a Super Bowl victory, was a Super Bowl MVP, and that playoff run to the Super Bowl, 11 touchdowns, 0 picks, and I don't know. I mean, maybe he can catch fire. I don't think that as we get to the point here where we take a look at all of the playoff matchups this weekend, I don't believe that any team is unbeatable. I think that certainly Baltimore is at the top right now, and really San Francisco as well. But we've seen San Francisco is certainly beatable on their home turf in good weather. Of course, that was when Baltimore beat the living tar out of them. And the Browns obviously beat them, but the weather was less than ideal. They suffered injuries, but injuries are part of the game. I don't know. It will be interesting to see how things play out here after wild card weekend. So with that in mind, let's do a little playoff edition of Who You Got.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
Yes, I'm telling you, Jim. I've told you before. Will you stop? I'm talking about the playoffs. Okay, so let's go to a little wild card, super wild card weekend playoff edition of Who You Got. Okay, now our record throughout the season, we kind of dropped this because it just was no good. I was terrible. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was awful at picking games. I was just bad. And that, my friend, is why I don't gamble, because I'm just not good at this. Exactly. So taking a look here at the wild card weekend, and we will come back to the Browns as our last pick here on the schedule. Taking a look Saturday afternoon after the Browns game at 4:30 on Peacock. Now, first of all, that's the question here. Will you be watching the Saturday night game on Peacock? Sherry, do you already have Peacock, or are you going to have to get a free trial?
No, I already have that all covered.
All right.
Locked in.
You're ready to go. You are ready. And you need that in Cleveland if you're under DirecTV, right?
Yeah. Because depending on where you are.
Exactly. The dogs are barking again. Yeah.
It's just the little angry one.
Madison, did you get your Peacock yet?
I have not, but I will watch the game. Obviously, it's the Taylor Swift game, so I have to watch.
That is important. That is very important.
That's why they put it on there. Swifties are going to be in there with their subscription, and they're the ones that are going to forget to cancel.
I'm not gonna comment on that. I don't want any Swifty backlash here.
They'll think there's another chance to watch a Chiefs game on there if they win. So
right. I gotcha. Okay, so the Miami Kansas City game Saturday night at Arrowhead. The temperature and the wind is going to be absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. And it's not exactly the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, but it's going to be awful. And I don't know that Miami, first of all, they're not playing that well. Second of all, I really don't know how they're going to handle the elements. And with that in mind, we take a look here at current lines on FanDuel that I had pulled up here. The Miami Kansas City game. Let's see here. For the Chiefs and the Dolphins, the Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites over the Dolphins. All that in mind, Sherry, Dolphins at Chiefs. Who you got?
God. Dolphins at the Chiefs. No, I got the Chiefs.
You got the Chiefs. All right. Chiefs, no upset special there.
No.
Okay. Madison, Dolphins at Chiefs. Who you got?
I think I saw a stat that the Dolphins are 0-10 when under 40 degrees. So I think for that reason, I will take Kansas City. But it's certainly not because I believe in them, because I do not. I mean, I get it's Patrick Mahomes and it's the playoffs, but their receivers are god-awful.
They are. It is really bad. They have, kind of fallen off. And Denny chimes in, KC gonna win. And they are. I think that even though this is definitely a down year, they are not on top of their game for sure. They are beatable, even at home. Mahomes can only pull so many magic tricks out of the bag. And I'm going to join the crowd here. We're going all Kansas City. That will be the second game on Saturday. Then starting Sunday afternoon, 1:00. Currently scheduled to be in the blizzard or whatever terrible weather at Orchard Park. The Steelers taking on the Bills. The point spread is the Bills are a 10-point favorite.
Oh, I'm going with the Bills.
You're going with the Bills.
I'm going with the Bills.
Would you go with the minus 10? Do you think Pittsburgh will cover 10?
See, numbers.
All right, no. So you're gonna take the Bills.
I'm gonna take the Bills.
All right, I got you, Madison. Who you got?
I'm taking the Bills straight up, but the Steelers with the points, I think, is really possibly in play. That's a lot. It's a big spread. I didn't realize it was that large.
It's a huge spread. And Denny, yes, I agree. F the Steelers. That's yes. Right on. And the only thing I'll say. Okay, so let me throw this out there, because other than the Browns, obviously we're talking the other two wild card games in the AFC. The only chance the Browns have of hosting a second round game, if they win, is if both of the other wild card teams win, the Dolphins and the Steelers. So I wouldn't hate it if both of those teams won. Let me just throw that out there.
I wouldn't mind avoiding Baltimore until later in the playoffs.
Right. So you really are rooting for. So out of those two teams, I'm also going to go with the Bills. I think that Tomlin is going to be able to muck it up. And yes, factor status, yes, F them for sure. I agree. I think Tomlin is a good coach. Allen is kind of his worst own worst enemy. And it's very possible, maybe with the weather impacting both teams, possibly the Steelers could have a chance if they can muck it up. I can't say that I have the utmost confidence in Mason Rudolph.
They might have to run the ball though.
They may.
Najee's been playing better, but
they actually both of them have been playing pretty well down the stretch. I mean, they're the luckiest SOBs ever to get into the playoffs the way they did.
Magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's absolute. But I guess that's the key here. When you see the numbers come out on the win total at the beginning of the season, don't bet the under on the Steelers. Don't bet the under.
That's fair.
So
all right. So we're all going Bills there as well. All right. Moving
Bills
a little bit.
Are built different. Like, have you spent significant time with any Bills fans?
No, I think they're on drugs. I don't know. No, okay. Yes, Tomlin is lucky, like Debo. He's got mind control.
Okay.
All right, Debo. Okay, so we got Packers at Cowboys. Madison, Packers at Cowboys. It's the former boss of the Packers, Mike McCarthy, trying to keep Dallas from having yet another playoff collapse. The Cowboys end up going on a run and winning the NFC East, the number 2 seed. Arguably, shouldn't be the number 2 seed after that Detroit, the way the Detroit game went down. Madison, Packers at Cowboys. Who you got?
I may be picking outside of what everyone else is going to pick, but I just cannot trust the Cowboys. I know they've been good at home this year, but it is the playoffs, and they have not been good in the playoffs. So I don't know. I mean, it's Jordan Love's first playoff experience, actually, starting at quarterback, I guess. But he's been playing lights out, for Green Bay. So I will take the Packers in an upset.
All right. Sherry, who you got? Packers at Cowboys, two of the league's most storied franchises.
I am going to go with the Cowboys.
All right. You're going to trust the Cowboys. Denny is going with the Cowboys. Factory of Sadness. He just says F the NFC. And I will also have to agree with that. I concur. I am going to say that, look, I am very, very hard pressed to think that the Cowboys aren't going to screw up and Dak Prescott isn't going to implode and Mike McCarthy isn't going to do something stupid. But I just think I think they might eke this one out. However, I don't see them necessarily going on the Super Bowl run. Even though the NFC is kind of, it's what?
Mishmashed. It's mishmashed.
It is mishmash. No, I don't think that I think the Cowboys will in fact prevail. If they lose, will I be surprised? Nope, not one bit. Will I be rooting for the Packers? Yes, I will. I will absolutely be rooting for the Packers. But I feel if I were to give someone betting advice on just betting a winner, I would say go Cowboys with the home field advantage. They have been very, very good there. Okay, next up, we've got the Rams at the Lions. Lions hosting a playoff game, a rarity for them. And the stat that we saw, I don't know if you saw the graphic about the Bills, the Browns, and the Lions all making the playoffs. Like, we might want to go out and buy a lottery ticket or something of that
Right?
nature.
Yes.
You know, it's possible, but obviously you've got the sub story here of the Rams coming to Detroit with Matt Stafford, having played
Oh, man.
how many years in Detroit, and then
Forever. Yeah.
gets traded to the Rams from the Lions. They win the Super Bowl, and then Jared Goff kind of being the outcast from the Rams, really
Right.
resurrecting himself and they're having a heck of a season. And the Dan Campbell led team is a pretty good story. Sherry, well, we got Denny chiming in here. He's got the Lions. Sherry, in the Rams at the Lions, who you got?
The Lions.
All right, you have faith in Dan Campbell. You have faith he's going to bite a kneecap.
Yes.
Okay.
I usually go for ankles, but he's going for kneecaps.
You're all in. You're all in. I like it. It's part of the lower extremity, so we're in good shape there.
Yes.
We're in close proximity. Madison, who you got?
I think it will be a close game, and for that reason, I'm leaning Rams because I don't trust Dan Campbell. I think he made a really emotional decision to continue to try to go for two when, obviously it should have counted, yes, but then you stubbornly went for it to try to prove a point, and then you ultimately lost the game because of it rather than just kicking for the tie. So I think I would trust him a little bit less. Sean McVay's obviously been there. I think Stafford and Puka are obviously a pretty dangerous combination. So I think they could eke one out and have another upset. So I'm all upsets in the NFC so far.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with all of your points, Madison. You make a compelling argument.
You don't have to go with what I go with, though.
No, but I'm just saying it's a good argument. I'm very wishy-washy. I can't say it. Look,
it's a pick-em to me.
It really is. The spread is 3. The spread is 3, and that's basically what you automatically get as the home team. You get 3, and the Lions are -3. So I think it is a toss-up. The Rams have certainly been playing pretty well. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Stafford's flinging it well. They're not doing too bad, and I believe, am I correct? They got it's Kieran Williams, correct? The running back.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you pronounce his first name, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he came back. He had a heck of a season. Aaron Donald is still a game wrecker.
Right.
I'm going to go emotional on this one and not use my head, and I'm going to go with the Lions.
That's fair.
I
want them to win too, but I just don't know if
and I do want them to win. But let's circle back to the Lions in a minute here once we get through our picks. All right, next up, the Monday night game, the last wild card game. Eagles at the NFC South, champ 9-8, Baker Mayfield led Tampa Bay Craponeers. Yes, the Buccaneers. Hey, Army.
I still have my Baker Mayfield prayer candle. Did you buy one of those?
No.
Is it your type candle because I wished he was dead?
No, we don't wish anyone dead.
Oh, okay.
It's Ashonda.
Okay. All right, I got you. All right, so we got Eagles at Buccaneers. And, wait, here we go. This is it. Who cares? It's at least an interesting storyline, especially when you get the Cleveland tie in here. Sherry, Eagles and Buccaneers, who you got?
Oh, man, this is hard. Okay, I'm going with the Eagles.
You're going with the Eagles. Okay.
I'm a sucker for a Kelsey.
Well, that is true. He's a Cleveland Heights guy. You live in Cleveland Heights. There you go.
No.
There it is. There it is. All right, Madison, who you got?
I will also take the Eagles. I think similar to Kansas City, it's not out of trust for them. It's that Baker and the Bucs put up 9 points, I think it was, against the Panthers. So no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to also go. Well, you know what?
How injured is he, by the way? Because he was limping around.
You mean hey, I'm a tough guy. I'm Johnny Tough Guy.
Oh no.
Just don't let him tackle someone on a pick.
Exactly.
Or maybe do. Maybe it'll change your whole life.
Yeah, I almost vomited when I saw that.
Yeah, that was
in person from
All right.
Yeah.
No, I think that the Eagles certainly are vulnerable. They have shown it throughout the season, down the stretch. And then you've got the issue of Jalen Hurts. How well is he going to be able to throw the ball?
Oh yeah, he's got his finger injury. That was
His
pretty nasty
Yeah,
looking.
his finger is
Wait.
jacked up. His finger is
But
jacked
it
up.
hurts.
It was
It
his
hurts.
throwing hand too.
It does hurt. It really hurts. It really hurts. Yeah. I let me say this. I want the Eagles to win. I don't want to hear all about all the moxie of Baker Mayfield. But
Again.
would I be surprised if somehow the crappy Buccaneers beat the Eagles? Wouldn't surprise me one bit. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on the Eagles. Last year, obviously, very, very good, going to the Super Bowl and had a puncher's shot. I mean, it was a heavyweight bout with the Chiefs. But this year, they've certainly come back to earth after a hot start and everybody talking them up. I think what it was really is when the Browns had their joint practices and took it to them. That might be it. So we were talking about, and again, before we get to our final pick, the Browns pick, talking about the Lions and wanting them to win. So I kind of have this thing where, although I'm rooting for the underdogs, the Lions are one of the remaining teams of the originals that don't have a Super Bowl. And so for that reason, I would not be upset if their run was cut short. At least not until they can't win one until the Browns win one.
All
They
right.
gotta play. They gotta play each other. That's how this is gonna go down.
If that goes down, can you imagine the narrative?
Can you imagine being the team that does not win that one? That is
Oh no,
that'd be
that
brutal.
would be the saddest flight home ever.
It will be. I mean, but that's all right. You can just go find some. There's lots to do in Las Vegas. At least there are things to do
so
there.
much. Yes.
There is
so much.
There is a lot to do out there. Madison, I think as we were talking about, you're talking about whether to get playoff tickets. First of all, we talked about that Houston, according to their website, I saw a post, they have in fact sold all the tickets. They have sold out now. But there's obviously going to be on the secondary market how many people show up. And as Denny says, F the
Is that
line.
because they gave tickets away? Because I saw they were doing a ticket giveaway.
Oh, and they may very well have done that. But it's only the last time they sold out was week 2. I think against the Cowboys, maybe, or no, against the Colts. I take that back. Week 2.
We got pretty cheap tickets for when the Browns were in town for Christmas Eve for my sister and brother-in-law.
Yeah. Okay, so what is Factory of Sadness? Cleveland would go into a depression if they lost to Detroit in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, there's not enough therapists alive to deal with that.
Exactly. And then the river will catch fire again. It is quite possible. It might. I don't think it'll even have to spontaneously combust. People might just literally light it on fire. It'll be like the old University of Akron end of the semester parties. You light some couches on fire. I think
that happened in Michigan too.
I think it's a tradition, a college tradition.
Blaming-
Randolph-Macon, are they lighting it on
everything.
fire? Are they lighting it?
The only thing that lit on fire was a frat house, which was a very sad and tragic
Yes.
experience. But everyone survived.
And they rebuilt.
They did.
We can always rebuild.
Exactly.
Always.
The city might catch on fire too. It may very well. You never know.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, you never
more
know.
likely to burn if they win.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. People
Remember
jumping on
when
cars and so on and so forth. No, I don't know if the Browns, somehow go on a miraculous run and were to play and we would have this crazy story that they play the Lions. I mean, it would just be unbelievable. Again, I would tell you to go out and buy a lotto ticket.
Right.
Because that's I don't know that anyone would have predicted that at the outset of this season. Let's see, what is this? East Cleveland will be all Cleveland.
That's
no good.
Neither
No good.
Here nor there.
Here nor there. Okay. All right. So final one. Let's close it out with our picks with this. Browns at Texans, Saturday afternoon, 4:30. on NBC. Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge on the call. But if you want to avoid them,
Yes.
you can tune into the Browns radio network and listen to Jimmy Donovan and
Hell
Nathan
yeah.
Segura and the one and only Super Bowl champion Gerard Cherry, and sync up your TV or something like that. Pause it and sync it up. Browns are 2.5-point favorites currently. Sherry, Browns at Texans. Who you got?
I'm betting the whole farm on the Browns.
All right, 50 cents
Everything.
it is. All right,
Everything, all in.
all in. You got a few.
I learned that in
shekels
Vegas.
on it.
I
Got a few
did learn
shekels.
this in Vegas. All my shekels, all my dreidels.
Exactly. All right, Sherry, you got them. Denny says Browns win in a close game. Oh, I'm going to poop my pants then. Local guys are the best. I agree. I definitely agree. Brown, and Factory of Sadness. Now, this is the guy who, if the Browns don't win by enough, they suck. And they need to win by 21, according to the Factory of Sadness. Madison, who you got?
So I saw the stats that Stroud struggles against pressure, but he got blitzed the least. Like they didn't play a lot of teams that do a lot of blitzing. I think we probably light him up on Saturday. I think Miles has a really good game. Obviously, he's been dealing with a lot emotionally over the past couple weeks. I think he channels that into a game, especially because I think all the votes will be in. Do we get to know who's defensive player of the year before it starts? I feel like I heard that it might be tomorrow, but that may be incorrect.
Yeah, but I know the votes have to be in before this weekend. I'm just
maybe they have to be in by Friday, and I think he hears a little bit of the chatter that he's not defensive player of the year in some minds, and I think he will aim to rectify that by carrying us to a hopeful Super Bowl run.
Yes, and there we go, Madison. To your point, Factory of Sadness. Can you call Stupid Fansky to tell him that? Apply pressure and all that.
I thought we loved Schwartz. He's the defensive coordinator.
Well, yeah, but if
we're hating on the coach of the year right now. Come on.
Yeah, I think that I
do Fansky hate ever.
Yeah, I think that. So you're going to go Browns. You're going Browns.
Yes, we're going Browns.
I am thinking that we can at least keep this magical ride going for one more week. At least. And you have to take it. I hate the stupid 1-0. It's kind of dumb, as dumb as it sounds.
It's the truth in the playoffs for sure.
Right. And you can't look ahead. You really can't. And I think that if you take that attitude, and these players have really embodied the coach's mentality, and they've come together this year, as we talked about at the outset, all the things that they have overcome. I do think they're going to win. I hope it's not too close of a game.
Make it entertaining for us.
I don't need it to be entertaining. I don't need entertaining. We're not talking entertaining here. Okay. All right, here it is. If they win, you'll see me next week. If we lose, you won't. Which one you want? I'm all in. I want to see you, brother. I want to see you. I want to see you when you win the championship and your sorry butt is standing out in February with me at that parade. Because we're going to be there and I'm going to get photographic evidence of it.
Right?
I will have evidence. All the hating. You're going to be there. Don't lie. And with that is the end of our Who You Got. So Browns hopefully coming away a winner on Saturday afternoon. And then we shall see where the chips fall, going forward. So our final segment here, Sherry, I'll let Madison go first. And then if you want to jump in, you can. It is our Going Nuclear moment. We talk about what has us going nuclear. Madison, why don't you lead off?
I was going to say the Browns promotion of trading in an old quarterback jersey because, one, they told me after I had left the state of North Carolina where my Baker jersey was, and two, I went and bought a Baker jersey at a consignment store, and then they only traded in 100, and they were all extra larges, and it was only at $5.30, so I was a little upset about that, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about on a more positive note is that we need to put the negativity, we need to put the nervousness on the bench for right now. Bring it back next year. That's fine. I know the history. I get all of that. This team this year has earned the trust of the fans that they will figure it out. They will find a way. That's all they've done all year, is find a way under really, truly impossible circumstances, things that have never been done. We've had games where we had less than a 10% chance to win in the fourth quarter, and we pulled out a W. So I don't want to hear the negativity. I don't want to hear that I'm nervous to face CJ Stroud. I get it. He's a good quarterback. But we have the number one defense. So let's just put all that on the bench. We can bring it back in the fall. We can talk about it in the offseason. But for now, in the playoffs, it's all positive. It's all good vibes. Let's go get a W.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. I love it. That is fantastic. Sherry,
Yeah.
anything have you going nuclear this week?
Yeah.
This day, this month? I don't know. What's got you going nuclear? What's up?
There's lots of things that get me nuclear.
Same here.
A very clever name, podcast.
Oh, why? Thank you.
Yeah, no. We have to put out there what we want to bring back. So we got to keep it extra positive. We need more shirts. We need more donuts. We need more corned beef.
Hey, well, I agree.
We need that to be our medicine ball.
Nice. I like it. I don't know. The donuts might send me over the edge into a diabetic
I
coma.
know. But the donut place, well, Brew Nuts, they're amazing. So
Are they donuts or are they cronuts? I don't know.
I've only had one cronut.
I've never had a cronut. I just
Don't.
throw that out there.
Just
Cronuts
don't. Yeah. It's very sweet. Lots of carbohydrates.
Oh, I'm overclamped.
I know.
Right. I hear you on the positivity. Well, okay. Let me lead off with this. First of all, my initial going nuclear is not sports related, and then I will turn sports related. You're getting a bonus nuclear moment for me.
Woo!
Playoff.
All right. So I started a new job this year, literally this calendar year, and I switched insurances.
Uh-oh.
And what has me going nuclear is the highway robbery, thievery of these insurance companies.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. You're telling me that I got to shell out $2,000 before you cover anything. How are people supposed to get medication? Do you not understand if you put people in financial, straits, they're not going to go to the doctor. They're not going to take care of themselves. Hence, their health will go down the crapper, and then they're going to end up in the hospital, and the insurance company is going to pay out the rear end because people don't take care of themselves because they can't afford to.
That's 100%. I mean, in my line of work and travel, I've seen it everywhere. My parents just had to have their driveway replaced, and they were fighting with these predatory insurance things that Florida tries to throw at the elderly because they can't understand shit to begin with, And
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So I am so angry with this insurance company. Welcome to the world of insurance, aka biggest scam ever. It is. It's horrible what we've got going on in this country. And then when they really want to piss you off, you call them, and who do you get? You get the customer service person who barely speaks your language. Like, I don't care if you're in a different country, but you better darn well speak fluently in whatever the native language is of the people who are calling you. So I would be pissed off if I was a Spanish-speaking person and I called, and I'm living in Spain, and I call a company and I get someone in the United States who's trying to say, it's me, it's actually Jim, but hey, this is Jose, blah, 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 blah. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? All right. That's enough. That's enough. That's what the insurance.
Your blood pressure.
Yeah, something like that. Well, that's got that. The insurance clearly has me going nuclear.
Yes.
I'm gonna have a heart attack over this stuff. But we talked about the coaches for the Browns, and I heard the biggest dumbbell on talking to Ken Carmen and Lima this morning. Basically hating on Stefanski and saying it's all because of Schwartz. May the Schwartz be with you. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You think
Nope.
that just because of Jim Schwartz, that's the whole reason we're doing well? I'm sorry. I think he's made a major difference, and but it also has to do with the personnel. They made a concerted effort to beef up the defensive line. They changed the scheme to their strengths, and it's everybody. If you want to be a Stefanski hater, be a Stefanski hater. Don't try and tell me it's Jim Schwartz. It's all him. It's
Number
not.
one offense with Flacco right now in
Right.
that time period.
Yeah, exactly. So hearing dumb radio callers and haters pisses me off and has me going nuclear. And with that, folks, that is what has us going nuclear this week. I want to thank Browns fangirl Sherry for jumping in. And we do have a final question here from Factory of Sadness for Life. When does the Coach of the Year get announced? I am not sure. I know the votes are, as we were discussing with Madison, I believe the deadline is before Wild Card Weekend. It will be interesting to see. It seems like it's going to be between D'Amico Ryans and Stefanski. It's got to be Stefanski because nobody has dealt with this much adversity and been able to overcome it like the Browns have this year. And so, once again, want to thank Sherry for hopping in and joining us. Always a pleasure. Madison, thank you very much, as always. So, for Madison Delaney, our special guest, Browns fangirl Sherry, I'm Ethan Greenberg, and we have been going nuclear, full-blown coverage